Welcome to the latest episode of Branding the Experience, where we discuss ways where we can create environments where employees actually want to come to work and customers want to keep coming back. Hi, I'm Ken Bader, your host for Branding the Experience, here to discuss today branding for solutions. Specifically because I had a wonderful opportunity to interview the Senior Vice President of Member Solutions for the California and Nevada Credit Union Leagues right after the Reach 2016 event that the league put on for a number of credit union executives and board members. And it was an outstanding event. Truly an example of providing solutions to the attendees at a particular event. But enough about me talking about the event. Let's hear from Larry Palochik himself. Larry, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Ken. Thanks for having me.
Terrific. Great to have you. Tell me a little bit about the branded experience for Reach 2016. And just for a little background in our audience, it started off and finished phenomenally, and those that listen to my podcast, read my articles, watch this show, know that I don't give compliments out very easily, and this was literally, if not the best event that I've gone to, one of the top 3 events that I've gone to all time, and probably the best event that I've gone to in the credit union industry,
wow, bar
none. And it started off with a bang because you talked about the exact things that I talk about in terms of running your credit union like a business, not just simply being a credit union that happens to be in business. And for instance, you talked about right off the bat, your credit union is its own dynamic business with unique goals. You talked about encouraging attendees to take what they learned and apply it to their business, not apply it to their credit union, but to apply it to their business. Can you talk a little bit about the brand of the conference and the approach to helping these executives truly run their shop like a business?
Absolutely, and thank you again for those kind words. I mean, we put a lot of effort into this conference, and there's a lot of thought that goes into it. That really begins almost constantly. We're already thinking about next year, even though we just finished this year. And really, the Reach brand kind of grew out of the recession. Really, the league has been around for over 80 years. We've always had an annual meeting and conference. But we rebranded, after the downturn in the economy, and in the first year, our theme was reach up, reach out, reach deep, because credit unions had spent so much time, just having to live and survive and deal with regulators and the economy, and we were really trying to encourage credit unions to even look outside of their own business model, to look at other industries, to see what innovations and disruptions were happening out there, and to really pull themselves up out of that muck and mire that we had to experience, and to really just reach up out of the downturn, to reach out to maybe new partners, new ideas, and really reach deep within themselves to really reinvent their cultures, their organization, the way that they deliver the member experience. And this year we just kind of keep evolving that brand, and really we've grown Reach into just in the last couple of years to where our members look forward to that, and they know that we will challenge them, especially in the general sessions, with not industry talk, not industry speakers, but folks from outside the industry, maybe that touch our industry a little bit, or maybe that are completely different, but to try to connect those parallels that all businesses are facing. I mean, we are living and we are breathing and we are having to deal in such challenging and ever-changing times. In the past, you could strategically plan for 3 to 5 years and everything was wonderful, but today things change in 12 to 18 months. So you have to keep up on that, and you have to change from the top in your culture all the way down through your organization and how you interact with your members.
Well, as a guy that wrote a book on brand culture strategy alignment, it's almost as if I'm hearing myself talk, which is another huge compliment. And I'm going to give Reach an even bigger compliment because the agenda was also spot on. I love not only the topics that you had, but the progression that it came through, because a lot of times, and certainly nothing against any other credit union events or conferences and things of that nature, but so often we go to some of the granular tactics and operational problems. We want to talk about regulation and we want to talk about taxation, and not saying that those things aren't important, but we don't talk enough about what's driving the numbers and driving our business. So I love that you started with a session on human capital, which is my premise of we need to create environments where employees actually want to come to work, and therefore members want to keep coming back. That's the progression. So we started with human capital, and then we started talking about technology, which is another big buzzword in this industry, in all business. But I love the approach that Mike Walsh took, in that it wasn't just the technology, but how do we use the technology in terms of integrating it with the human software that we have in our business. Can you talk a little bit about, you talked about the challenges, can you talk a little bit how that aspect and that particular perspective may have shaped the educational offerings and developing the agenda for Reach 2016?
Absolutely, and as you notice, and thank you again for the nice compliment, so everything that we did...
I'm not going to give you any more compliments, I'm done with that now.
I love the compliments. But you're right, and over the years we have spent a lot of time on innovations, disruption, certainly a lot of technology, and we're not going to stop that, of course. I mean, it's all around us. But at the end of the day, it's people. It's people that use technology, and it's people that are building the systems to drive that experience. And what it really boils down to is the member experience. And I think that every business out there, whether you're a credit union or any other business, recognizes that if you're going to deliver a high quality, very engaging member experience, it starts with having high engaged, culturally fit organizations. And that's where we started with Cirque du Soleil, and my big thing out of that was, I mean, how do you take an industry, and Cirque du Soleil, which is, we're in Las Vegas, of course, so you've got to bring a little Las Vegas into the show. Of course. But here we started with this gentleman who was 52 years old as a gymnast, doing phenomenal things in the world, in a world where gymnasts pretty much are done by the age of 24. And the only reason why he's still able to do what he's doing is because of the investment that Cirque du Soleil puts into that employee. And that's what we wanted our attendees to take out of that, is if you invest in your employees, they're going to invest in the member experience that you're able to deliver. Of course, Mike Walsh, talking with Mike, I thought some of the biggest issues that he brought up was, it's not about the technology itself, it's about the human and the member experience behind the technology. And I thought that he really captured the audience. A lot of times an audience sees, okay, here's another futurist type speaker that's coming out, but I think right away he debunked that, and he said it's not that the technology isn't a key part of it, but really it's about, are you building the right experience around the technology that you're employing.
Well, technology, all it is a tool, and you use it, and I could pull out a number of examples, but you use it in order to enhance the human experience, whether that's first your employee experience and then your member experience or what have you, not to replace or to use it instead of. Going back to the first session, because it set such a great tone to the overall program on starting with investing in human capital. And in that Cirque du Soleil session, they even talked about the ROI of working with people.
Sure.
And that brings me to a segue of strategy. Right now, we're in early November, so a lot of the executives and board directors that had the distinct pleasure to attend Reach are in the process of creating their strategic plans and building their strategies for 2017. What were some of the maybe top 2 or 3 things in the agenda and what you were able to impart to your audience here over the past 3 days? Do you hope that they will take back and apply to their strategy for 2017?
Okay, so the 2 that really come to mind, number 1, I really liked when we talked about, as organizations, we really do need to be data driven. We need to be kind of mobile centric. I mean, there's no doubt that the mobile technology is really driving a lot of transactional type business, but at the same time really focusing on the member experience. So it wasn't just one of those 3 things, it was kind of a combination of those. And on the human capital side, once again, we can make the greatest plans in the world around technology, strategy, products, and services, but if we haven't started with our people, it doesn't matter. And really, I thought on the human capital side, the 3 C's that were mentioned, first and foremost, being conscious. So being aware of what are the needs of your employees, and are you really focused on them? Being considerate, and are you pulling all of your employees in? And I think the examples that were given, you don't spend all of your time and effort on your sales force or your front office staff, that it's really the entire team that makes it work. And then lastly, be compatible. So whatever you're doing, it has to fit within your organization and your culture to really drive your organization forward.
Right. Well, the word that they kept using was it needed to be organic.
Yeah.
Which was not a word that I had used in some of my brand culture training, but I'm going to steal it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it was damn good.
and I thought one of the neatest examples, I mean, when they're talking about, Cirque du Soleil is talking about how they have masseuses.
Right.
And of course, I'm sure there wasn't a single person in the audience that didn't say, oh yes, we need to have a massage therapist in our office. But that may not exactly, I mean, that works for an organization that's highly physical, has a lot of people that are highly physical. But in the audience, somebody pulled out, I thought, a great nugget. And they said, once a year, only once a year do we do anything around financial literacy for our staff. But is that not what we do every day for our members?
Right. And
her epiphany was, I need to figure out how to bring that into the workplace every day.
Yep.
Because it'll be meaningful for them in their personal lives, and it'll in turn be meaningful for them in their interaction with their members, and once again, kind of creating that better member experience.
Yeah, I remember that question or that response during the program, and what was interesting is I was sitting next to a credit union CEO during that program when they were talking about the masseuses and the massages. And he said, well, that won't work at my credit union. They tried it at this credit union, and it just kind of failed for this reason or that reason. And I wasn't even, I think, 50 seconds before Jay Guilford, did I get that right?
Guilford, I believe. Yes.
Guilford mentioned it needed to be organic to your organization. And I kind of smiled over to the credit union CEO and suggested, so what's organic to your particular business?
Right.
Maybe you're not personally massaging everybody, and I would hope that you wouldn't. But maybe there's something else that is organic to the organization, more importantly, organic to the business, that makes sense for your employees.
Absolutely.
And personal question. We're at the end of our event. We're at the end of a phenomenal program. What was personally your favorite part of the overall program?
Wow, I mean, I have so many, honestly. I think from somebody who designs it from the behind the scenes in the beginning, to see it all come together, to have literally dozens and dozens of people come up to tell me how they enjoyed this session or that session, this speaker, an event. And really what we try to do is, and you asked me before about sort of branding the experience.
Sure.
We hope that what we're delivering is from the first email that you get from us that talks about the event to the first time that you step off an elevator. And I don't know if you noticed the elevator banks. We actually got the hotel to wrap the elevator banks in our brand and in our quotes,
Yep.
around it's time to do something. And so that's what we hope, is that when they come here, and being in Las Vegas is not an easy place to really capture people's attention, because there's so much going on. One of our vendors had some folks come in from Scotland, and they were phoning home and describing what this event was and what Las Vegas is, and their example back to them was, it's like New Year's Eve every day, all day. And so when you have an event or in a place like that, how do you pull them in and keep them interested in your event? And I think we did an awesome job. Every breakout session, every general session, the evening events that we had were always packed with people that were just having a great time, making connections, learning together, celebrating together, and just having a great experience.
Being an individual that actually ran an event at a much smaller scale than Reach, about 3 or 4 years ago, I understand the challenges of trying to put together something in Vegas and keeping everybody there, and I think you did a phenomenal job. Last question. Obviously, we're going to have Reach 2017, and I believe that's going to be in either Palm Desert or Palm Springs.
Palm Desert, yes.
As you spoke about, and I agree with this 100%, that you already start planning the next conference when this conference is ending. Can you give people a little bit of an idea of what the brand for Reach 2017 may bring to them?
Well, if I had to take out I think all the connecting points from this year, and to really take how we evolve, the Reach brand each year. And I kept saying it now, and so I'll say it one more time because I think this is what's going to come out. But I do think it revolves around that member experience.
Right.
And whether it be starting with your corporate culture or all the way through to transforming the branch with technology, it is all about the member experience.
It is. And Larry, this was a great experience.
Thank you very much.
So much for joining me.
Well, thank you very much.
So what can we learn from Larry and the Reach 2016 event and how they approached it? Well, I think two specific things that we could apply to any of our businesses out there. One is solve a problem, and whether it's a credit union, a restaurant, a doctor's office, what have you, it amazes me when I ask the question, what problem do you want to solve, that there's so many responses that either are blank stares with crickets, or people really struggle to answer that question. The folks that put on Reach 2016 knew that they had problems that they wanted to help solve among their credit unions that they serve, and that's how they arrange their agenda. So whether we're running a business or creating an event like Reach, we need to understand what problems do we want to solve. And number two, and I've talked about this before, is understanding the unspoken problem. A lot of times people don't know the problem that they have, or really even know what they want and need. Case in point, I talked about this before when I talk about the Walkman. I'm dating myself here, but similar to the Walkman, the iPod as well. Nobody said, "Hey, I want to carry my music with me to be able to put on headphones and be able to strap it to my belt instead of carrying around a big boombox." Sony just saw the opportunity and they solved the problem that nobody even knew that they had. Same thing with the iPod. Nobody ever thought of, well, I would really like to have hundreds and hundreds of songs on a small device rather than carrying around what became a rather bulky Walkman. But Steve Jobs and Apple did that. They solved a problem that nobody thought they even had in creating a much better device than the Walkman was. And that's what I saw from Reach 2016 in terms of their agenda and what they provided in terms of ideas and investing in human capital and tying technology to people, and I can go on and on. I don't believe that there were any attendees that planned to go to that conference that said, yeah, I want to hear more about human capital. Yeah, I want to hear more about how I can leverage technology among my actual culture. But they did that. They saw the need, whether it was voiced or not, and they went and provided solutions for it. So those are two things I think that we could apply to any business we may have. Thank you for spending some time with me today. I hope that your business is branding the experience on a high level. And until next time, have a great day. Bye-bye.